Hello everyone. Welcome to day 2 of Core Java. So, in our earlier video, we learned about the history of Java, what is Java, and why Java was invented. So, today we will be beginning for our later topics. So, first, as in our later video, we run a Java program on Notepad. So, in this video, we will be first setting up an IDE. So, for doing Java, today we will be setting up NetBeans. So for that, you first have to go to Google. Here we will enter download NetBeans. So this is our Apache NetBeans website. We will be going here. Here we will be downloading the latest version of the IDE that is 22. So as we are redirected here we can see our installer and packages. From these installer and packages, we will be downloading this one, that is 64-bit exe installer. So now we are being redirected to the Apache Software Foundation website. From here, we will be clicking on this link, and you can see our installer is being downloaded here. So you have to click here. Then you can see as I have already downloaded my Apache NetBeans. So this was my installer. After double clicking on this installer and following the instructions, I successfully downloaded the Apache NetBeans in my desktop. So now I will make you see the NetBeans. So this is our NetBeans ID. So for starting a Java application, please click on this button, and here we can see we have to choose a project. So here we will be choosing a simple Java application, as we only have to run simple Java programs. Now we will be clicking, as you can also see the description here, a simple Java SE application using Maven. You are recommended to begin here if you are new to Java. So I will be telling you about Java, about Maven in later videos. So Maven is not required right now, as we are only running the Java programs. Maven is used for creating web applications. We will learn about it later on. It is basically used for building the Java applications. So now we will be writing a name. So let's practice data. I have written the name practice data, and now we will be creating a new project. So our new project has been created. Here we can see this is my project name practice data, and here you can see source packages. I will be telling you about more about packages later on in later videos. So packages are a very important topic in Java, as we have predefined packages and also user build packages here. I will be telling you about packages in later videos in detail. So this is our main file, that is practice.data.java, that the name I have created my project with. So as you can see in earlier video, we saw in Notepad that we have a public class practice data, and then we have public static void main, which is the entry point of executing a Java program. So this is a basic syntax that we get in an ID when we create a new project of Java. So now let's come back. So we have set up an ID, that is our NetBeans. So now we will be understanding about Java variables. What are variables? A variable is a simple container that stores data. So it has a name and a data type. So that the main point about variables is that the value that we store in a variable can be changed during program execution. So I will be telling about Java variables. Minute. So now let's create a Java variable. Okay, the main syntax of Java variable is our data type, then the name of variable. Let's give our variable a name A, and then giving it a value. So this is the main syntax and main way of creating a variable. Okay, now we will be seeing more about it. So first is let's also understand that how do we write Java comments. So we have single line comments that we write in a single line. We use double slash for it. For multi-line comments, you can see the extension, the format of writing comments, and these are Java doc comments. So the data types are of mainly two types: primitive and non-primitive. The primitive data types are those data types that are defined, that are already defined by the Java language, and they store the value directly. They are smaller in size and they are passed by value. That is, their copies are created. So we will be learning about it also, that what is passed by value, what is passed by reference. I am right now just giving you a gist of what are the basic primitive data types and what are non-primitive data types. We'll be learning about it in detail. When we will be learning about objects, classes, we will be learning about non-primitive data types in more detail. So non-primitive data types are mainly objects that are created using classes. They store references to memory locations. They are bigger in size as compared to primitive data types, and they are passed by reference. So we will also understand in detail that what is passed by value and what is passed by reference. So the key differences we have seen, that what are the key differences between primitive data types and non-primitive data types. So these are some of the major topics, and pass by value, pass by reference is a good concept, and we will learn about it in detail. So first we will learn that I told you in NetBeans that how to create a variable. So data type and variable name. This is the syntax for declaring a variable. And if we have declared a variable, we can then initialize it by giving it a value. We can also use another syntax, that is data type and variable name, and then giving it a value. This is both declaration and initialization in a single time. Now, we will learn about primitive data types. So mainly we have these primitive data types. So first we have the data types for storing integer values that are basically our byte, short, int, and long. We commonly use int. That is of 4 bytes. We also use long. Then we have float and double for storing decimal numbers. Then we have character for storing a single character. And then we have Boolean to store true or false values. So now we saw about our data types, that are primitive data types. Now we will see an example of these data types. So as we already saw how to create a variable, now this is my variable int a. So let's learn about variable. This is my variable int a. I have assigned it a value a is equal to 4. Now we will be printing it. Okay, now we will be printing the value of a. Okay, now we will be running our application. So now you can see the value of a is 4. Okay, so as I taught you that we can change the value of a variable, that we can reassign a new value to a variable. So we will be doing that. Now we will be assigning. Now we will be again printing our a. So this now we will be printing the value of a after changing the value. So let's comment it for the time being. So you can see that we can reassign a value to a variable. So first the value of a was 4, and then we did not declared it or declared it again a. We only initialized a new value to it, and then we again printed it, and you can see that after changing a we get the value 8. So these are our variables. Variables means whose value varies. So we learned about variables. Now we will be learning about data types. We will be seeing the practical example of data types. So we learned about the data types that store integer values. So that are our int, byte, long, and short. So this is the example of int, and we can see the value of int. Now we will be seeing a value. Let's see an example of double. So this is our double. And now see the difference. When we wrote int a equal to 4 and then printed the value of a, we got a equal to 4. But when we wrote double, a equal to 4 and we printed the value of double, we can see 4.0. That is, we get a decimal number. So this is the difference between the data types. Okay, now let's proceed further. Now let's understand something about non-primitive data types. So we have several non-primitive data types, that is string, array, class, and interfaces. Strings are used to store a sequence of characters. As we saw that we have a primitive data type character that is used to store only a single character. So we have a non-primitive data type that is string, which is used to store sequences of characters. Sequences of characters in double quotes, which is known as string. So we will be learning strings in detail. Then we have arrays. Arrays are a collection of elements that are of same data type and are stored in contiguous memory locations. We will also learning about it. Class, we know that in Java, basically everything is executed inside a class. And we will learning about class, that it is a blueprint for creating objects with specific properties and behaviors. We will be learning about how to create different variables in class and methods. So interface, this is a more far topic. We will get to it in very later videos. So this is all, this is a just about non-primitive data types. Now, as we learn the primitive data type, so now we will learn about typecasting. So what is typecasting? Typecasting means converting a primitive data type to another data type. So we learned about the primitive data types that were int, byte, short, long, double, float, boolean, char, etc. So there are mainly two types of casting. First, there is narrowing casting. Narrowing casting means converting a bigger data type to smaller data type. And then we have widening casting. Widening casting is converting a smaller data type to a bigger data type. So there is something to note here. That is, widening casting is done automatically when we pass a smaller data type to a bigger data type. But narrowing casting is done manually when we add a parenthesis containing the data type in front of the value. So now we'll be seeing a practical example of doing typecasting. So let's do, now we will make it a integer variable. So we are creating an integer variable. This is our integer variable. Then I'm going to assign its value to a double variable. Not 5. I will be assigning this variable to a double variable. Now let's see the value of both A and B. As I have assigned the value of A to B, the value should be same. So now let's see the output of this value, our B variable. Let's run it. So here you can see. Now, what is this? This is widening casting. So what I did, I assigned the value of a shorter data type, that is int, to double. So when I executed it, I saw that we get the value of A as 4, and when we assign the value of A to B, but it was of type double, we can see the output as 4.0, as it automatically typecasted the int A to double. So this is our example of widening casting. So let's see another example of narrowing casting. So let's create a variable double which contains the value 3.41. So let's try to assign this value to an integer variable. Now you can see we get an error. That is incompatible types. possible lossy conversion from double to int. That is, it not automatically converts a bigger data type into a smaller data type. That is narrowing casting. It cannot be automatically done. So we have to do it manually. So how do we do that? We just typecast it by adding int in parentheses before it. Okay. Now we will be trying to print the value of it. As you can see, we get the value of D as 3. As the value of our C was 3.41, now we typecasted it to int and then we get the value of variable D as 3. So this is an example of narrowing casting. So we learned about widening casting and narrowing casting. It is basically done at some places when we are required to change our bigger data type to smaller data type, and we saw that our smaller data type automatically converts to a bigger data type. So that's not a problem. Now, this was all about typecasting. We have seen the practical example of typecasting already. So this was all about our second video. Now we will be learning about our later topics in our upcoming Java videos. Thank you everyone for watching.